the Fridays, took the morning off because my son wasn't at nursery. So we went out to town. And today, I was just fixing this bad code around spawn character. So we have a bunch of, like, basically we have spawn character, we had spawn enemy and spawn ally, and those obviously should have been homogenized into spawn character, being a code that like both of them can use. That's a bit clearer and a bit more straightforward and a bit more like centralized. That would remove the chance of like crap going wrong, of characters being on the wrong team and stuff like that. So this is obviously going to be much better. So what I did at the end of yesterday was took one of them and started like pasting it in it and just getting all of the things that we have to do. So just to recap, we have to get the character and make it, switch it on, and put it in the right container. And then position it based on where we wanted to put it. And then add it to a team. So we add it to a team and then point the team at the character and point the character at the team. Link them up. And then update their targets. Yeah. So just make sure that they're targeting, their list of targets is anyone who's not on their team. And then we say if they're resurrected, we say that they're resurrected. Basically, simple one. That's a dodgy one. I'm going to put that at the bottom. I'm going to put that right at the bottom because that's like a sort of edge case thing. And then we remove it from the dead list, so it's not dead anymore. Where should that go? I feel like that sits well next to the team. Okay, then we reset the buffs. So we say whatever buffs you had, you get rid of them. And not just get rid of them, but like undo them. That's how we get rid of a buff. And then we say set your sprite back to whatever your sprite is, because it might have changed for whatever reason, the main one being that it might have been an undead sprite. And then feedback is animation and sound effects. Play the spawn sound effect, play the spawn animation, and we have to add this so that it doesn't like... That should probably happen when they die. But it was here, and I'm not going to mess with that for the moment. Let's get this working, and then we can sort of do another layer of optimization and stuff. For example, like, we shouldn't have to change this sprite if it didn't change in the first place. That kind of thing. But we'll leave that as it is for now. Reset colliders and movement. Yeah, that fits nicely. Grant extra weapons. So we say if you were given a weapon through this mechanic, then get rid of it. And then if we have a weapon, and at the moment that's just shield provisions and dagger provisions, then get that weapon, have that weapon, equip it. And then reset weapon timers. So for each weapon you have, you should have it. It should be set, you know, like reset, so you don't come in with things out of whack. Grant talent buffs. So for each talent that we have, so here's an issue. We need to say if team.name is equal to team0.name. So only do this if they're on the friendly team. And we should, and this would have been easy to spot, but this should also be if team.name is equal to team0.name. And I know what some of you might be thinking. It's probably not too well optimized to ask this question twice, and that maybe it might be better to have everything that depends on it being a team in the same spot, but that is less readable. Actually, not necessarily. Let's do that. So we'll say grant extra weapons from talents. This would come over a, like, I guess we would call this yeah, apply effects from friendly upgrades. And then here we can ask if team.name is equal to team.name. And then, well, actually we can just get rid of this and then move this whole chunk over into that spot. Okay, existing weapons, grant the given weapons, and then grant talent buffs. And granting the talent buffs is indeed happening after we reset the old buffs. Good. And the weapon timers is happening after we give the new weapons. And then initializing the bars and changing the color is happening after that. And so that's all good. That's all golden. So kind of like now that's done, I'm gonna like we want to go into like ally spawner and say, is there anything from here that we would want in there? So and like spawn character is, yeah, we want it to be fairly versatile, as in we want to be able to say, look, if I tell you we can do it straight into a position, or we can do it straight into, or we can do it based on an origin and a radius and so on, and that we're sort of fairly versatile in how we do that, but that we always end up back into this code. And anything to do with like putting them on the right or wrong team or whatever happens in there. And I think that will help with some of the sort of random bugs and inconsistencies that I've had. So we can start to empty this. Okay. And yeah, we can start to empty this and put anything that's on here that doesn't have like that isn't represented in here. We can just kind of like we move it in. So position, already handled that. Rotation should never even be an issue. So that must have been old vestigial code. Okay, reset the character. Like the team, no, we've handled that in the main bit. The enemy specific stuff. So what we do is we give enemies a buff based on their level. So enemies that are like high level get a buff. The looters get like lots of HP and their sizes increase. And generally, yeah, we do want to do that. We want to make... So, but these can go. We want to make the enemy like bossy type characters like they want to have like super high HP and be super strong, because we want to think of them as like a mini boss. Right. So spawn enemy, character name, spawn position. Like, no, we don't need all this stuff. But what we can do, and this probably isn't the best place to put it, but if we've just said, here's grant effects from friendly upgrades, what if we just, like, next to that, grant enemy buffs? And I'm just, like, not even thinking about the naming, just plopping that here, just so it's there, just so it's been considered. So we're saying, if the team is my team. The other thing that I want to mention here, is that, what did I want to mention? I can't remember. Anyway, so enemy. Oh yeah, the other thing I want to mention is that this might completely change. So I need to change the way that I sort of make an enemy more tough. I think for these level 4 ones and these level 3 ones, it kind of still applies. But basically, we make enemy orcs stronger than they would be if you were playing as them, which I think is incorrect. And I think the new way that we do armor kind of helps us with the balance there. So I do have on my list to kind of really consider what's happening there. But let's just say, so if team is not equal to team 0, at the moment, that means it's definitely an enemy. So we'll just put this here. So apply effects from upgrades, and we'll just keep this just so that it's all there. It doesn't matter if it's not correct. It doesn't matter if it's going to change. I just want to have it all there. I want to have it represented so that if we did change this, we kind of know what we have to move somewhere else. So just to make sure that this compiles, all we need to do is just change this to new character container. Okay. Okay. So that takes spawn enemy, and then the other one is keep within stage. So if we're, and here we have that spawn position based on a radius, and basically we can just do stages.keep within stage spawn position. So what that does is it says, it looks at the current stage and says, and takes the outer limits of the stage and says, if you're outside of these bounds, then come back in. That's all that does. So then we can quite confidently remove this, which is going to cause some compile errors. Okay. Spawn enemy still exists here though, and then but spawn enemy. And then it's like choosing a position. But like spawn enemy says grab from a list and spawn an enemy from there. And then what this should do is like eventually spawn character. So gm.c.spawn character. Yeah, spawn character. And then we choose which one we want to do. So we'll say, since we've already got the position, so the character name spawn position team, which is stuff that we already, oh, and then we just go gm.team 1 at the moment. I would like to make it work for multiple teams, so we could have like a 2-on-2 or something, but at the moment this should do fine. And we say, right, if the stage is the ramparts, if the stage is plains or bridge, then get me a random position. If the stage is the ramparts, then do it like that. Okay. And then here, spawn pack says so we specifically ask for a specific unit. Spawn pack. Oh no, so this is just spawning the leader. So spawn enemy. And if we say spawn enemy in a position. So yeah, this is where it gets bloody confusing. So, oh hey Jack, how's it going? Thanks for joining. How are you doing? Are you looking forward to the weekend? I'm in some funky code right here. It's like this is probably one of the more fun sort of bits, or fun but challenging. It's like a good old puzzle. because basically we want to do this like spawn character, but then kind of say like, so if I say spawn character, yeah, and we give it a position, so this would be like gm.spawn character, .c.spawn character, and then we're going pack leader. Is that a string? Central position, and the team is gm.team1. That should do it. So then we don't need this. We've skipped that. We're asking for something to spawn in a specific position. We're not looking for a radius. Yeah, no, I didn't stream this morning. My son had his preschool had a like training day, so he wasn't in, and so we took the opportunity to go into town and buy some things like socks, and just, you know, it's fun to go into town every now and then, despite the state of things in town. Lots of vape shops, lots of Turkish barbers, lots of American candy stores. Bit depressing, but it's slowly improving. I think it's probably like slightly better since COVID, so that's good. Okay, so if we say spawn, so I don't actually want any instance of spawn enemy. If we want to spawn based off a list, that's a different thing. And I've actually even thought about having enemies kind of spawn with the exact same rules. Although that would change the game drastically. It's like, so the allies spawn, it's like every 4 seconds you will get one of these guys spawn. Whereas the enemy is spawning randomly from a list. High Street built for money laundering and criminal activity. That's what that's all about. So the vape shops, the phone repair shops and stuff like that, they're all empty. And I don't know if you follow this stuff, but whenever you see these shops like this, and you'll see a high street with like 5 empty vape shops in a row, and those are all money laundering. And that's where like sex traffickers and drug dealers basically launder their money and operate from. And it's a huge problem in England, in the UK. I don't know if they have these in Ireland and Scotland, but in England, it's a huge problem. Massive problem. Okay. So if we're spawning an enemy from a list, like I just want that to go through this funnel here. So if we said spawn character from a list, it's like I just want this spawn character to be very versatile, and for me to be able to say so if we did public void spawn character, and we're asking for a list. Yeah, exactly. And then they let these and so like if I ran a business in town, which was like if I ran a business and my books were slightly unbalanced, you can definitely bet that someone from the local police station or the council will come knock in and saying, I need every single receipt that you have, and every single cash transaction logged. But with these guys, they're not going to do that, and the reason would be like community cohesion. And the reason being that if they did that, if they applied it evenly, then they would just be arresting these people like a lot regularly, and that's not. And they've had instructions from on high to balance the books in the sense that they want to arrest equal numbers of the same demographics, or at least, well, yeah, even just even disregarding per capita, and so they're just not. They're going to turn a blind eye to that kind of crime anytime they can. Do you see that video out of Birmingham today, I think it was happened last night or happened recently, and it's some guy, some local, and he's getting attacked by a bunch of people who came, or the kids of people who came from another country, visibly. And there's like 3 or 4 around him, and they're like pushing him. One of them clotheslines him and then knocks him in the back of the head before he gets up. This guy hasn't thrown a single punch or anything. And then just literally, just as this guy is getting up, a female police officer runs and slams him into the wall. And he's just like doing this, and he accidentally hits the police officer in the face, thinking he was still being attacked, because he was, and she was just another attacker. And they arrest him and they let the other guys go. It's insane. It's insane. Really, really makes me angry. I should focus on code though. Just the high street. It's sad, but it's getting better. I think, like slowly. So if we spawn character from a list string of character names, yeah. And it's like, hold on, and it's just the speed of it. Like, how did she? Either she didn't understand the situation, in which case she should have come in with a information gathering attitude, or she was watching the whole thing and was waiting for him to get thrown on the floor, and it's just absolutely like 2-tier infuriating. All right, so if we say we want to spawn an enemy from a list. And then where are we? All of this basically came. I started doing this code because I wanted to make it so that like I could, like I just found that I didn't have a mechanism to say actually don't like spawn these using the levels mechanics, and I ended up with like spaghetti code on ally spawner of like, oh well, if it's this stage but if it's this character then do it like this, you know, which is wrong. Yeah, no, that's what they believe. Yeah, and they think that the only reason that some are more represented than others is because they're it's because that they've been yeah. I'm sure it'll be okay. Like, and again, I think I'm not gonna say like stupid angry shit, but it's like, yeah, I mean, it's not fair. Like, I honestly like yeah, they think that they do that because they like if the only reason these people are represented more is because police have been targeting them more, and they have this whole unconscious bias thing, when actually it's like that's just not the case. Like, even when I was a kid, which is like in the 80s, 90s, people had a favorable view of people from other cultures, you know, and why wouldn't you? Because it's exciting, it's fun. It's just you know, I would be like walking through the train station as like a 12-year-old on my way to or from school, and I would get surrounded by a bunch of people from the Windrush generation saying, "Hey, white boy, why are you know, what's going on? Like, and I'm looking at the time, I was a boy. I was like tough it out. I was like, it's not a big deal. Let's take it in my stride. But looking back on it, I'm thinking, shit, if that happened to my kid, I'd be so scared for that boy, you know." Yeah, it's horrendous, but we'll get there. As you can see, like more and more people are like talking about it openly, and at this point, it's okay to sort of talk about it, and that's why they, you know, yeah, we'll be fine. I do want to stop talking politics though, but yeah, do not get me started, because I will go off. So yeah, I'm a little bit confused here, because it's like, how do I make, like, so if I say spawn enemy, it's kind of like the position is going to depend on the stage. And I just want to make sure of like, how can I do that? Like, so if I just, if I get a list, so yes, if I give you a list, then character names dot count is greater than 0. and then we go spawn character, and if I just say, so spawn a random character from that list. And we're going to say, if I just give you a character name, spawn character. So we're really just like, if I just give a character name, string character name, then just treat it like, because that's what you do. You just kind of like say, okay, well, if I've just given you a name, then assume that it's this type. So then we say spawn character, string, oh yeah, character name, radius. So then we say character name. So yeah, I think I do need to be... Well, that's the thing. It depends. It depends, and I think I need to like clean up my thinking and kind of be like, right, I need to think really clearly here, because basically, and it is fairly complicated in my defense, because it's like, right, so in some stages, characters will spawn from a specific spot. So on the ramparts, which is like, you know, Battle of Helm's Deep, you've got little trap doors, which is where my like allies should spawn from, and we pick a random one of those and spawn the ally we want to spawn, and the enemies come from little ladders, right? Unless you're a tower or a totem, because towers and totems can't move. So in the case that you're a tower, you should spawn, like, in that case, you should just spawn somewhere random, as long as it's within within the stage. And so you can see how that gets a little bit complicated, especially to homogenize. And I feel like I'm just kind of randomly making this as wide, as broad as possible. I don't know exactly what you mean. So like, we just have spawn character, and then the final form of that is one where we've already given you the position, and we've already given you your team, and we're telling you if it's like this is a reviving or not. So if we say spawn character, we get the name, get the position, get the team. But if we haven't told you whether it's resurrected or not, just assume that it's not resurrected, basically, just to make it easier. So if it's I say if it is resurrected, I don't have to say if it's not resurrected, basically, which just makes my life a bit easier. So that one's easy to think about. And then this one is where I haven't told you a position, except I think this is where it's going to get confusing, and I should say public void get so I want to be like, if I say spawn character and I give you a radius and an origin and a team, then spawn get me that random position. But if I say spawn character like it's just Friday and I'm not thinking clearly enough to like do this in a really good way. Because you could say like, okay, figure out where this character is going to go. That should be one of the things. But at this point, we know where it's going to go. We don't want to have to deal with it there. But if we say, like, let's just out of the blue write a full code for void public void get like make spawn position. Right. And then we'll start to do this. Okay, yeah, I see what you mean. So like we could say radius is 0, or radius is like 0.1, and origin, and then we could use the same thing. But then where do we store that number? Like I could say, well, because what I want to be able to do, right, is so on item container, if you get a summoner item, oh god, and this is too many steps of stuff, but then we do summoner for each ally spawner, spawn a few allies, and we're just saying spawn an ally within, and we give you a number. Except spawn ally with just a number is crap. So what would this one look like? So we would say gm.c.spawn character. I think that's probably the best way to like mentally do this is like think about all the use cases and just write what we think would go there. So spawn character, and what are my options? If I just write a comma here, we want to say, and the thing about this is that our radius is smaller. But we could just go with the final form of this and just go, oh yeah, so wait, why is that number 5? So if we say, okay, so the character is ally spawner.spawn ally. Okay, this is awkward, but ally spawner.character.names 0. That's so awkward, but never mind. And we're doing this one, and then we give it a radius, which is 3, and then we give it an origin, which is here. And then we give it a team, which is team 0. I thought this was static. Okay, never mind. And then we don't need to say whether it's... Oh, we should just say false, not resurrected. And that should do it. That's what happens if you do it from a summoner, and it is never, ever, ever going to use the like stage positions. But then when do we want to use the stage positions? It's like, so an ally spawner would say, okay, yeah, so this we have. Yeah. So here is like fairly straightforward. We say we'll just kind of cut all this. Whoa.
Sorry.
It's okay. Good lungs on that boy. Yeah. Possible spawners. So we would just say, if we, so if we go GM, and if we say spawn character, that one is nearly 1. He's 1 in 4 days. If we say, and the older one is just turned 4. So if I say spawn character and I give you the name, the position and a list of list vector 3 positions and team. Because what I could do is I could ask what stage are we on here? But yeah, never mind. Okay, so spawn character. Wait, maybe I should do that. Oh, you got 10-month-old as well. Oh, nice. Yeah, we're kind of living mirror lives, you and me. It's funny. So like, okay, yeah, no, I wanted to do make spawn position. So it's like if so it's dependent on the stage. It's dependent on the stage. It's dependent on was it from special or ulti. It's dependent on was it from and moving character or not. So it's like if it's where do we have current stage? Character select. Current stage. Really? Stage. Selected stage. Where do we have selected stage? Where do I check that? Character select.stage. Okay. If character select.stage is equal to like this is probably really simple. I'm just like making it complicated. But yeah, if we give it a list of positions, then no, so we've already got our spawn position. Yeah, so that should work. So I don't need to change anything here. It's okay if it ends up still being a little bit like funky as long as it works. So if we've decided our spawn position. Thing is, we're sort of yeah. So what's the problem here? Spawn enemy. No, so we'd want to say gm.spawn.c. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I've never tried doing that. It's probably quite complicated, I can imagine. Okay, so we have that. Spawn character. Come on, let me see my brackets. Let me see my brackets, please. Oh, just let me see my brackets. I just want to see what can go in here. spawn character. Start with, yeah, random. Okay, so we don't need those bits. Pack.enemies, random. Yeah, okay, so we need that. Spawn character. Pack.enemies, random range. Okay, and then we say the team is. Oh, nice. That's good to know. Yes, it's nice when things are built in. Spawn position, and the team is gm.team1. And then so we don't need that anymore. Shit, if I can just get it to work, it just seems redundant to. Oh, yeah, so spawn enemy. Or spawn enemy from a list. So in this case, I'm going to make these private voids just so that that never comes up. So this just stays within here, and where we choose our spawn position based on what stage we're on, and then we just tell the thing to spawn there. And that's nice and simple. So we don't need this. We don't need this. And in fact, I don't think we should need this either. Spawn character with a radius. Except we just need it for the special circumstances where basically we're just overriding any yeah, okay, so that's probably fine. So we've just got 3 versions with the final actually doing the thing, and the first 2 calling the final, this one doing it based like overriding the position. But it's like yeah, there's probably better ways to do this, but okay. And then so here, and then in ally spawner, we want to do a similar thing where we kind of just get rid of this. So if the name, if we're in a normal level, in a normal circumstance, so yeah, I'm kind of going back to this kind of spaghetti. Because we kind of want to say, like, get spawn position. This is some real Friday coding. So get spawn position. If character get character if then I don't know oh, it's so tricky. No, I think basically these live, so we have enemy spawner, an ally spawner, an ally, but we just always make damn sure that these are private, as in they cannot be called from outside, and we really are just using the spawn character thing. So if it's one of these, we say gm.c.spawn character, and we're saying character.names, and we're saying position is no, here's where we say origin and radius, so we say GM, so we want the origin and radius one. Actually, so this would be 10F. Hopefully that can then just know that, yeah, radius, and then origin would be gm dot c dot player dot transform dot position. Team is team 0, gm dot team 0. Why do I feel like sometimes GM is GM stored here? Ah, that's why it's like that. Okay, give me the bugs. There we go. Oh, there's a lot of them. Is that maybe wise to... No, I don't want to store GM here. So in this code, this is so awkward, and I'm just like not smart enough to do this properly. So what's the problem with this? gm.c team 0. No, we shouldn't have to say. I know we do have to say. Let's just. So that's going to spawn a character in a radius, but otherwise we're going to spawn a character. Let's go GM spawn character, and the name is and the position is and simple. And so spawn position and we don't need all of that. Oh, that's why we need the game object. spawner is that one. Play the animation on the spawner and then spawn. What's wrong with this? And then we just go false. And then down here we go gm.c.spawn character. Character names. Spawn position. And it's gm.c.team0. And that basically fixes it for now. Then we go enemy spawner and then GM. And then basically when we resurrect something, we just kind of want to use that same script so that there's no confusion. So if undead put that. Never mind this for the moment. Then do that. Set sprite to undead version. We wouldn't need that because that's getting sorted when it's initialized. The position would have been sorted out. So that would have been sorted out. Okay. That would have been sorted out. So I'm just kind of trying to leave everything that's only for only for undead stuff. So okay, so then what we would want to do is we say if dead list doesn't contain corpse, then something's gone horribly wrong, so I want to get rid of that. So then we say spawn character so when we say raise undead, yeah, we need the team, the corpse. So yeah, how do we know which corpse we're raising? And also this is spaghetti as well. So if we go raise undead, like we just kind of, because it's like there's like a train of things. Like you can see that there's resurrect over here in weapon container. Which is fine. That's good. Okay. So the weapon container will do something called resurrect. And this also does something called, so like raise undead. And raise undead is the word. Okay. And raise undead has already selected a corpse. So it's kind of like this is interesting. So it kind of does this bit for us already. I'm so like my it's too melty brainy. It's basically like, yeah, because because this code already gets the first character available with that name, then it doesn't really jive with this, because in this case we've already chosen the character that we're gonna raise. Maybe that's the problem. So we've, like, the weapon has picked a target. Although maybe that doesn't matter. So we don't need a target. So if we go raise undead, no, we don't need a target. We just say, so the target, we spawn character. How does that pick the target? So then, and this makes life easier, right? So we don't need a target for raise undead. Just when you just do it. So don't. So when the weapon raises undead, we just need to know damage, character container. Oh, what's character container for? That's the caster. Okay, yeah, that's fine. We need to know who did it. We need to know. We might need to know who did it. I'm not sure we do. We need to know strength. And in fact, if we know who did it, we don't need the team. Because it's the caster.team. Okay. And then so when we're targeting, it sort of doesn't matter. Like, we're just going to pick deadlist.count -1. We're just like, it needs to have a target so that it like cools down. Okay. But then once we get to the, like, and there'll be more to tidy, obviously, but at this point, it sort of doesn't matter. Like, there doesn't have to be any relationship between what the weapon has targeted and, we just get the one with, like, get the name of the oldest character. And then position. So if we do the version where we just say origin is, so we go radius of 10f, caster dot transform dot position, caster dot team, true. Okay. And now when we spawn character, like, we want to be able to access this character once we spawned it, so we can, like, do any extra stuff to it. Or we just take all of this, and let's just try this first. We take all of this, and then actually we don't need that. We could just put that straight on the weapon. We take all of this and say, if it's resurrected, then do all of this. So, which means that we need a caster. No, we don't need to know that the caster's team is my team, because you can't resurrect someone from another team. So we would just say, if team is my team, or let's do team.name. So this should fix this. And then strength, and then so we go float strength, yeah. Except we haven't got access to that. Okay, never mind that for the moment. Let's just go. So this wants to know was this done by the player or not? So this might actually be easier as character container resurrector. I don't know, it's a made up word. Resurrector. Because we do in fact need to know who did the reviving. Okay. Sprite undead version. Yeah. Prop grave artifacts. That should like live with. Why would that not be part of the same? Why is there even dice being rolled here? And then we would kind of have like Resurrector and float strength. So we have to carry that over. And what I would actually like is a version of this where we don't say just wanted to mess with the what's this one? Why is it showing an error here? Okay, so new spawn character. What's this? Okay, yeah. False, and then if we just don't say, oh no, that is if we don't say. In this case, we say null and 0. There's the errors. Okay. So resurrection means that we kind of almost don't have this. So raise undead could end up being, so where do we call raise undead? So we could just say then how did we have strength here? I guess 1 then? This could just be team 0. So we just go straight to spawning the character with that. And then in this case, we go and then so if the other case is from the weapon, and if we just went straight to gm.c.spawn character, oh, that might actually even just work exactly the same, except we need damage. And we need to go and then voila, right? So then we don't need this. Just makes things a bit more simple. We don't need that anymore. We just go straight to spawning the character, but we say spawn this character as a necromancer. And so we can spawn we can spawn in an exact position, or we spawn in a random position. And then on ally spawner, we're basically saying, oh, what's the problem here? Team 0 false. No, just don't. Assume that and that will assume that there's no necromancer. And then on enemy spawner, there should be a bug here. No? Because again, we're just assuming there's none. Okay, so let's go ally spawner.spawn ally. So this is the summoner item. And we've already just kind of got rid of this. And again, we're just kind of doing it with a tighter radius. And then the other one would be, oh, this is, let's get rid of this. I'll redo this later if I feel like it. That was just like a button to start a big battle, but we'll get into that later. Okay, so then here, if we say spawn ally, well, int I equals 3, no, float I equals 3 times ultimate power. And then while I is greater than 0, ally spawner dot, no, we just want to do yeah. And then we would want the exact same for dark randar. And then enemy spawner. Okay, and then here we just do instantiate the spawn character, and we go characters dot, let's just give it the string in this case, chicken queen, and again we'll just do transform gm.c.player.transform.position. First we need the radius, which would actually be like 20. Origin, and then team. Okay, and then we don't need that. And oof, like this hasn't been the cleanest, like, but I think we're better off. I think one thing about the enemy spawn that I didn't take into account just now, and I've just realized, is that we actually have spawn minimum distance and spawn maximum distance. Okay, but that seems like it's been taken into account. So it's still not perfectly clean, but it's achieved what we wanted it to achieve. And now there should be like much less confusion when it comes to like reviving units and like what team they end on and characters ending up on the wrong team and stuff like that, because for some reason it seems to be a bit wobbly. And if we do have any more issues like that, we can hopefully like tackle them a bit easier. So that's something. So that's that done and that done. That was Monday's work. Who cares, right? Yeah. This should be Monday's thing. Get rid of Friday. That I'll keep at the top of the list, and then we'll just do a sort of vague Tuesday. Where we've got a bunch of things. I don't know what I'm doing Tuesday. Where we've got a few bugs to fix. Probably should be the other way around. In fact, let's make it the other way around. Well, doesn't matter. Okay. I think I am actually going to leave it there, even though it's a super short stream today. But you know, that's the advantage of being solo, being self-employed, is that I can finish when I finish, because I don't think I'm going to get much more good work out of myself today. So, you know, if I was working at an office or something, this would be when I go and distract all the other workers, or, you know, offer help or feedback on something else. But I don't have any of that to do, so I'm going to spend some time with my children. And yeah, so I'll be back on Monday with more bug fixing and stuff. Hopefully we can clear the list of like balancing and bug fixing, then move on to making the new stages and making the new buildings, which should be fun. And I don't know, I think we're on track to finishing this game within about 3 to 6 months. So yeah, thanks very much for joining. Have a great weekend. I'll see you on Monday. Cheers. Bye.